Right.
Yeah. But conservation should be number one to a native man.
Why do you think? Why do you think that has gone that way? Like it used to be that way. I know I've been around trappers that say
Yep.
they keep seed for the future. But what do you think has changed in our in people's mentality? Why would they just want to kill everything they see?
I think the problem there with, knowing myself, I was also that kind of person where I would spotlight, and kill animals and shoot them illegally. But, that's not how I was raised. So I went back to how I was raised. And, when you spotlight in that, you wound more animals than you kill. You kill them all, but you wound them. And it's hard to track them. You're not sure exactly where you hit them. It's really unfair to the animal. It really is. You want to be fair to the animal. You want to be an ethical hunter. Wounding an animal and shooting him in the gut and things like that, with a rifle I'm talking about, and not going to check on it the next day, that should be criminal, because you have to do something to get that animal. And the point I want to make is that a lot of our youth today, they want things fast. They want things done right away. So when they go hunting, they want to kill an animal and take it home, and we're losing the cultural aspect of it. Like when I hunt, I hunt for purely the enjoyment of it, and spending time with friends and being outdoors with God. If I get a moose, yes, I share the meat. I do that all the time, which is part of who I am, and I enjoy the whole process. But I don't go out there, trying to destroy the whole population, and I don't think anybody should. I got to ask, whoever's listening to this, I'll ask you a question. We have treaty and hunting rights, and we have this trapping. We have this beautiful resource that God has given us. We have these moose that God has given us, these deer, bear, and elk. Let's say the whole world were native people, and let's say everybody hunted indiscriminately, without a care about how many moose we have now in our population. This happened before with the buffalo. And what happened with the buffalo, when the buffalo declined, many people started starving. They started to get hungry. Well, let's switch that over to moose hunting. Let's say we have a famine around here, and we hardly have any moose. I mean, what's going to happen to those people, those families that don't know how to hunt? Those families who need moose meat in their life. I mean, that's why conservation is so important. It's so important because it's going to benefit everyone. That's why that's the best thing to do. And what's the use of having treaty hunting rights if there's no animals? That's just a piece of paper, right? If there's no animals, then there's something wrong with us natives. There's something wrong with us because we're not conserving our animals. We're not conserving our treaty right as hunters. We're not conserving that. We don't care about our treaties. And yet they brag and argue about our treaties with the government, and we do nothing about it. Give me a break. You got to do something about it. We are the ones that have to be the first people we should be the Greenpeace activists in our own community. We should be saying no and regulating ourselves. And I tell you one thing, I did that to one band meeting to elders. Boy, I got a lip lashing. Boy, I got a lip lashing. They told us, you can't do that. You're fighting against our treaties. That's what they told me. And I said, well, what's the use having treaties if we have no animals? You tell me that. We have to conserve our animals, What's wrong with killing, one moose a year? What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. To me, there's nothing absolutely wrong with that. And then our moose population would boom. You watch Alberta. They have a huge growing population because you have to do a draw system. And their deer population is huge. Someday they're going to have the world record deer, I believe that. Because of that, because of the way they structure themselves, because of the way they have rules against themselves. They govern themselves very well. Well, here in Saskatchewan, as Native people, we need to do that. I'm not saying change our whole way of doing it. I'm saying teach our kids the proper way to hunt, the ethics. That's what I want. And this is what I do when our kids come to our camps. I teach them a proper way of hunting, the respectable way, to respect our animals. When you respect our animals, you're respecting God who created those animals. You're not making fun of them. You're not playing with them. You don't need to play with those animals, and you don't need to shoot them to extinction, because that's what we're doing as Native people. We need to smarten up and pull up our socks. We really do have to do that, and I want to challenge anyone listening to start doing it, because you know what? If you don't do that now, your grandchildren will be the ones to suffer. They'll be the ones to suffer, because you'll be talking about how many moose you killed, and then your grandchildren will say, "What's a moose? How do they look like? You know, Grandpa, you talk about all these moose, but there's nothing around. Don't see any." Then you'll be sitting there, "Well, I probably shot them all." I mean, that'll be embarrassing. I want my grandchildren to experience what I'm experiencing, to enjoy God's creation. That's what I want for my kids. That's what I want for my grandchildren and my grandchildren's grandchildren. That would be a really good way to do it. And the only way to do that is to do it today by conserving our animals. That's really important. When I take people hunting, especially those who indiscriminately shoot everything they see, they can't seem to watch animals. They just have to shoot them. I teach them. When they come hunting at my trap line, I tell them, you cannot hunt, you cannot kill this, you cannot, there's so many cannots in my trap line. And they shoot them. And then I tell them, you got to give it to me, give it to your mom. You know, I know your mom is sitting. I teach them those whole culturalistic stuff. And when they leave, you know, they feel good of who they are. You know, they made a, what do you call it? They're conserving our animals, but also they're living the way we used to live back in the old days. And the old days was a good way to live. It was, because we all cared about each other. There was no such thing as people locking their houses back in the old days. And that's because our kids, nobody's teaching them. And we have a responsibility to teach our kids. That's why when you come to our hunting camps, you're going to be taught in a godly way, in a godly principle, how God has taught us. That's what I teach kids, and that's what's important. And conservation is one of those ways. And we need to teach these young kids how to hunt a proper and ethical way. Otherwise, if we don't, they're going to be indiscriminate hunters who'll shoot everything also. Pretty soon we'll have no wildlife in Saskatchewan as a result of that. So we got to do something about it, and to do something about it starts now. Be a bow hunter. If you're a bow hunter, you're conserving animals right off the bat.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.